What's going on, folks? It's Midas here and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be unboxing, setting up, and testing the all-new MOBIUZ EX2710R gaming monitor that's just been released by BENQ. This monitor has a curved 27-inch 2560 by 1440 quad high-definition HDR 400 VA display. If you're planning to purchase a new monitor for your PC or console gaming but feel like getting something other than the usual flat screen, a curved panel might be an interesting option to consider. Before I dive right in, I want to give a shout out to BENQ for sending out this monitor for me to review. My goal is to find out how good this monitor is for gaming, and if you're interested in any of that, stick around throughout the video. I'll be testing the monitor with the PlayStation 5, which uses 4K super sampling for 1440p monitors. This basically allows a lot of 1440p monitors to be compatible with it. What you might already know is that you can connect the PS5 to any display. It can be HD to get 720p output, 1080p to get full HD output, and even 4K for Ultra HD output. But you cannot connect the PS5 to a 1440p display and get native 1440p resolution. Instead, the PS5 uses 4K super sampling. The Xbox Series X has supported native 1440p resolution since launch, but the PS5 still does not, and to be honest, it's starting to get ridiculous. Sony has said it might come in a future update if there's enough demand for it, and I truly hope so. PS5 4K super sampling will allow this MOBIUZ 1440p monitor to receive a 4K ultra high definition resolution from the PS5 and output a super sampled 4K image on the monitor. This isn't official PS5 support for 1440p, but it gets the job done nonetheless, and the image quality produced looks amazing. Okay, let's quickly go through everything that comes inside of the box. The first thing you'll notice is the quick installation guide that shows you how to put together the monitor. Next, we have the remote control, and then we have the base of the stand as well as the actual stand itself. And then we have the back cover as well as the quick start guide, a USB 3.0 AB cable, an HDMI cable, a DisplayPort cable, as well as the two parts that make up the power adapter. Now onto the main stuff. We've got the monitor right here. You can see it's curved. We're going to take off the wrap to see what it really looks like. It's got a really nice finish, looks really good. Building this up requires no tool. As you can see right there, there's one of those little screws with a handle. That handle is going to eliminate the need for a screwdriver. So I'm going to quickly assemble this two-part stand, and then we're going to attach it. All you have to do with the stand once it's assembled is just slot it into that little hole in the back side of the monitor. Make sure you get it all the way in until it clicks in. So we can tilt it upwards, tilt it downwards, tilt it towards the left or the right for great viewing angles with this. So it's a really nice stand. The monitor has a few ports on the back side, so they're all concealed in a little space. There's two HDMI 2.0 ports, there's a display port, there's also a USB A/B port, two USB 3.0 inputs, as well as the power input. I don't know if you remember this back cover from when I did the unboxing, but that's basically what it's for. It's great for cable management, so after you're done connecting all your stuff, you want to have it all pass through the bottom side of that back cover. Alright, we're now done with the setup. What we're gonna do now is hook everything up and power on this bad boy. I'm in love with the red and black because it works really well with my console design. Bottom bezel is also a speaker, so the back side and the front side has speakers. As you can see, it's got a nice curve to it as well, which is going to provide a nice 3D feel when playing. It also comes with a nice remote control that lets you do a bunch of things, control a bunch of stuff. The first button is the power button, which obviously allows you to turn on and off the monitor. Input source is next up, so you can choose between HDMI 1, 2, or the DisplayPort. The next button allows you to select what game mode you're playing on, and you can only use this when HDR is off. The next button provides control over the brightness of the monitor. Our next button here gives us control over everything the monitor has to offer. So it's the menu button, so you can control the color mode, you can control the light tuner. It even shows you what signal the monitor is receiving. So as you can see in that corner, 2160p at 60 Hz. The next button gives you access to different audio modes that you can use based on what you're playing or watching. The last three buttons at the bottom of the remote right there gives you control over audio volume. My first impression about this monitor is that it's quite easy and quick to put together. I mean, the monitor setup requires no tool at all, and that's always going to be a huge plus for me with any product. Something else I like as well is the adjustable stand that it comes with. This will allow for viewing at different heights. If you're on the shorter side, you can adjust downward, and if you're on the taller side, you can adjust upward, and it's quite easy and effortless as well. I also love the screen curvature, which is usually the main appeal with curved monitors. They provide sweet viewing angles. This monitor has a 1000R curvature. The value R is usually used to indicate curvature radius. Since this monitor has a 1000R curvature, that means that in order to get the best view from a distance, you have to be 1 meter in front of the display. That's because curved monitors match human eyesight much better than flat displays, and also takes the guesswork out of deciding the best viewing angles. Ultra-wide resolutions basically provide the same image quality as their flat screen resolution counterparts, but use less pixels, reducing power consumption and pressure placed on your graphics card. Let's talk about features of this monitor that can enhance gameplay experience. The first feature I'll talk about is HDR, high dynamic range. HDR content increases by the day, and it's becoming a must-have feature when anyone thinks about buying a display. The PS5 and Xbox Series X both have HDR capabilities. HDR effect varies across different manufacturers and products. It's not always the same effect on every display that supports it. This Mobius features BENQ's proprietary HDRi technology, which enhances the standard HDR effect by integrating adaptive technology. It gives users access to custom controls that leads to a more immersive gameplay experience. Regular HDR increases contrast and details with brightness effects. BENQ's HDRi uses custom modes adapted to different content to allow you match the effects to what you're viewing. This graph shows how brightness and contrast vary between each HDRi mode. These subtle differences enhance the viewing experience, taking it from ordinary to extraordinary. Since HDR refines details by raising brightness, this can result in overexposure of certain areas on the display. With BENQ's Game HDRi mode, there's a balance that allows you to see the details on the screen without losing that immersive feeling due to overexposure. Cinema HDRi mode maintains the cinematic feel you want without missing out on any of the action, even in dark scenes. Besides better contrast and more details, BENQ's HDRi technology also offers more saturated colors, which leads to richer and more vivid images. The way this works is using the BENQ color engine, which allows each color to be enhanced in depth and hue. As an example, in cinema mode, the color blue tends to be more vivid than in other modes. One last thing to note about BENQ's HDRi is the HDRi emulation, which simulates HDR effect for standard content. This feature brings standard content remarkably close to what you would expect from HDR content. These next features showcase BENQ's exclusive black equalizer and light tuner. The black equalizer can only be used in FPS game and color mode, and to use this mode, HDR has to be disabled on the PS5. Once in FPS mode, you can adjust the black equalizer between 0 to 10 levels. The idea of black equalizer is to brighten up dark areas and reveal more detail while preventing overexposure in areas that were already bright before applying the effect. This feature can be the difference between getting killed by an enemy player in shooter games with lots of dark spots for hiding. Light tuner, on the other hand, does not require HDR to be turned off on the PS5. It goes between 20 levels of intensity to adjust the brightness of gameplay scenes that were supposed to be bright but somehow rendered as too dark. Think of light tuner as the opposite of black equalizer in most ways. This feature can be very useful in role-playing games like The Last of Us 2 with lots of dark scenes. Next feature I'll go over is the refresh rate and response time. This monitor can go as high as 165Hz for refresh rate. If you're planning on using this with the PS5 or Xbox Series X, you can't get anything past 60Hz when playing, but there's not much games playing at anything beyond 60 frames per second on these consoles currently, and it'll be a while before that changes. Most games are just hitting 60 frames per second. This option is usually labeled as performance mode in a lot of games if you've noticed. Some games like Call of Duty offer 120 frames per second gameplay as well, and if you decide to play such games on the PS5 using a monitor like the Mobius, you'll only be able to use that 120Hz mode at a lower 1080p resolution, which isn't bad at all. To go past 60Hz at higher resolutions like 4K, that display needs to support HDMI 2.1, and this monitor unfortunately does not. To get good gaming experiences on a monitor, it needs to have fast response times. Response time works in tandem with human eyesight. To determine how consistent an image will appear on the screen, whether it's gonna have blurring, ghosting, or trailing, and how responsive gameplay interactions will feel. Poor response time increases input lag and leads to an overall bad gaming experience. The lower the response time, the better. The response time of this monitor is 1 millisecond measured in MPRT. And a really good gaming monitor will have 1 millisecond or something closer to that. The next feature of this monitor, AMD FreeSync Premium Pro, allows this monitor to support variable refresh rate. This enables the monitor display to adapt on the fly to whatever refresh rate any particular scene in your gameplay requires. The PlayStation 5 doesn't support VRR yet, but that's been promised to come in an update before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. The Xbox Series X does support the feature already. Another great feature to note is the audio system and the audio modes. The monitor uses BENQ's Trevolo audio system to create amazing audio when using the inbuilt monitor speaker. There are 5 sound settings that enable precise treble, rich mid-range, and resounding bass without the need of external speakers and the clutter that comes with them. You can make sounds come to life with the Trevolo inbuilt speakers, which comprises 2.1 channel speakers, a 5-watt subwoofer, and a DSP. This also has multiple audio modes. There's FPS for full audio intensity, cinema for movie audio realism, RCG for engine revs for car racing games, SPG for clear sportscasting like in sports games, and pop or live for pitch perfect fidelity. Here are my final thoughts on this monitor. The main reason anyone should consider a curved screen monitor like the MOBIUZ EX2710R is to try something different and new. Something other than the conventional flat screens. Curved screens also tend to be easier on the eyes, with certain gaming advantages in angle of view for anyone that enjoys simulation games, especially for flight and racing. When it comes to performance and important specs gamers look for like refresh rate, response time, color depth, and panel technology, they're basically the same as flat screens. So if you're concerned that by choosing flat or curved, you're missing out on something fundamental, don't worry, you're not. I'll say go for a monitor like the MOBIUZ EX2710R if you're a PC or Xbox gamer, since you can get support for native 1440p and gain access to higher refresh rates. The latter part applies to PCs only, since you can use the DisplayPort between the PC and this monitor. You'll need a TV or monitor with HDMI 2.1 support to go past 60 frames per second at any resolution higher than 1080p with the Xbox and PS5, since they both do not have DisplayPort support. This monitor will work with the PS5 to deliver amazing 4K super sampled image quality. There's a lot of value in this high performance gaming monitor for any gamer, ranging from high quality HDRi for color, contrast, and brightness to an amazing audio system, fast response times, high refresh rates, and support for VRR. Although I personally prefer TVs for console gaming, I would definitely recommend this to anyone looking for a powerful gaming monitor for the PS5, Xbox Series X, or PC at an affordable price of $599 US. For discounts on this monitor, make sure to use the links down in the description below. I hope you have found this useful. If you did, run up the likes for me on this one and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the gold bell icon right next to the subscribe button to be notified whenever I post new videos. I shall see you guys in my next video. It's Midas, and I'm out, y'all.